Here's a different idea for you. What if your clients and wider market want a transformation? In other words, they want to change their life with you, but the only reason why they haven't bought a transformation from you is because you haven't made the offer. By the way, my name is Pete Scott. Thank you for being here. In this video, I'm going to share exactly how you can shift from selling all of your time trying to sell day rates, hourly sessions, packages of 10, whether you're a beauty therapist, a coach, or whatever it is that you do. Remember, your clients or your potential clients, they don't just want to buy another service or a product. That's not valuable to them. Value is created in the mind of the buyer. So no matter how excited we are about our latest course or the package that we put together for somebody, the question is, what do clients truly want? And this concept has been proven many, many times. Within my own career, I'm going to share this with you. I started as a personal trainer and I was the worst in the company. I couldn't sell a single thing. I would get myself fully booked with consultations and one-off PT sessions, but that was it. Didn't change anybody's life. And I would go back to the drawing board and be like, why am I not making enough money even though I'm fully booked? Even though I've got back-to-back clients, I'm struggling again and again. I'm going to share a little bit more insight on that and how this works for PTs. I've got a lot of clients I've worked with over the years. I've had my own business delivering this to my clients and helping them to shift to what I call a transformational model. Lots of beauty therapists, many, and one beauty therapist went from struggling, like every single one. She was fully booked and she wondered why she had no money, and the reason because she was selling treatments, one-off treatments, and she was also selling packages. So I moved her entirely away from that, shifted to offering transformation to her clients. Now she charges in pounds, because she's based in the UK, charges anywhere from £5,000 to £12,000 per client. I've got the same for a hairdresser who charges £6,000 per client, and she has a waiting list of like 3 or 4 months, and she's making £30,000, even £40,000 per month as a hairdresser. And I forgot to mention, she's freed up all her time as well, because she no longer sells time. She focuses on the transformation, the hair transformation. Now let's just move the biases aside straight away and say, who in the world would spend £6,000 on hair or skin, for skin transformation? Well, if you're wondering that, you're probably not their client, and you're probably not the type of client that's going to pay them, so they don't really worry about that. Does this make sense? But this whole concept that I want to share with you today is very simple. It's understanding that people want change. If I offered you a product and said, this is an amazing product, it's only $50, but you don't need it, you don't want it, therefore you don't see the value in it, is that $50 expensive or is it cheap? Well, the answer is it's expensive because it's not something that you need or want. And this relates back to what I was saying earlier, that for most people, how they try and sell, they add, especially, I mentioned salons again, they add a menu of services that's like some crazy buffet menu. And meanwhile, all their clients want is to look younger, feel better, to transform their skin, transform their confidence. And that's what we should be focused on, because remember, value isn't what we think it is. You might be excited about your new course that you've created. I might be excited about the fact that I've lived in Thailand for the last 2 years. But the question is your market excited about that? Do they value it? Are they willing to pay for it? Because if something isn't, because there's value and then there's relatable value. We can look at a car and say, let's take this car right here, yeah? We can take a look at this car. We've got a Mini Cooper, I think. Yeah, Mini Cooper. That's a nice little car. That's fairly valuable, right? But here's the thing. I live in Thailand, where if I buy a car, any car, even a Mini Cooper, I see the value in it. I see that it's worth, I don't know, $10,000 or whatever it would be in Thai baht. But for me, it doesn't relate to me. Does that make sense? I do not need a car because I have a Honda ADV 350, which I love. That bike, that motorbike takes me everywhere. It's a bigger scooter, 350cc, so I can weave in and out of the traffic, and I've got the power to get from one side of the city to the other in 15 minutes, where if I get any car, I'm stuck in traffic for maybe 45 minutes or an hour. So $50, and this is where we have to understand that pricing isn't linear. People don't buy in the way that we think they buy. There's a whole buyer psychology here. People buy based upon what's valuable, but specifically what relates to them. And the more it relates to them, the more it solves a specific problem for them, the more they are wanting to pay. So we're not trying to sell to everybody. And again, for most businesses, they're not targeting specifically who they want to work with. You need to solve a specific problem for a specific type of person and create a transformation in their life. And the bigger the transformation, the more you'll be paid. Now, the reason why I fell into this, because it wasn't deliberate, I didn't ask for it, was because I go back, I'm 44 now, I go back to 2001, I think, or 2000. I was 21, I was a personal trainer, and I got the opportunity to go and work on cruise ships. And I thought working on these big cruise ships as a personal trainer, I'll be teaching the fitness classes and teaching a bit of sit and get fit or aerobics or whatever it might be. And when I got on board the ship, my manager said to me, Pete, you've got a big sales target this week. I forget exactly what it was, but somewhere in the region of $8,000. I pulled in, I think, $6 my first week. So I did terrible. And that continued week after week until a point where the manager sat me down and said, look, Pete, you're a great guy, you've got lots of energy, you're filling your diary. I was fully booked. There was no problem with getting fully booked at all. I was fully booked back to back to back. In fact, I remember specifically one day working 17 hours without a lunch break, without a dinner break, and then I collapsed on the staircase. And I remember one of my colleagues running over to me and giving me like a chocolate bar or something, being like, you okay? And I'm like, I've not eaten, Not a healthy way. But I attached value to the time I worked, that I was hustling and pushing, and it took for another manager to come on board who sat down and said, Pete, you're a great guy, but you're just focused on all the wrong things. I said, what do you mean? He said, Pete, well, you're selling one-off PT sessions, but is that going to create any type of change in your client's life? And I was like, not really. They'd come and do one session, I never see them again. Or I might sell a package of 3 while they're on board for the week. And he asked me a very simple question that I'm going to ask you today. He said, well, what do you want? Do you want to sell these PT packages, or do you want to change people's lives while they're on the ship? To which I replied, well, I don't really know how I change somebody's life while they're on the ship, because I need 3 months with them, I need 6 months with them. And he said, that's where you're going wrong. You believing that is your limitation, and that's why you're stuck. So what I did is I learned from him, and I started to study everything. I started to study every sales book, every book on psychology, and just consuming as much knowledge as I could back then. And I started practicing the way that I communicated with my clients, because I could get myself fully booked with consultations, but I couldn't convert any. And instead of saying, I will give you a PT session, or you can buy this block of 3 sessions while you're on board, I shifted the messaging and I started asking clients, are you here because you want some PT, or do you want to take the opportunity while you're on board a cruise to truly transform your body? Because what an opportunity. I appreciate you're away from work. I appreciate you're finally got that holiday that you've been wanting all year. But my question for you is that, are you going to take this 7 or 10 days that you're on board to go to the buffet and eat all the wrong foods? And I used to joke that a guest on board a cruise ship would gain 1 to 2 pounds a day. So they check onto the ship as a guest and they get rolled off as cargo at the end of the week. Because on average, people were gaining like 10 to 20 pounds. It's unbelievable. So I'd ask them that question, are you here because you just want to enjoy yourself? But I'll tell you this, that if you are here to purely enjoy yourself, you've got to go deeper with that and say, if you eat all the wrong foods for the week and you drink every day and you just sunbathe by the pool, you're going to end this week's holiday and you're going to feel worse than when you got here. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need to just relax. But what you can do, and this is why I used to be very, very selective, and this is how I communicated with every single guest. I would say, look, I don't take on a lot of clients per week, which was true, and I'll talk to you about that in just a moment, but I take on a few clients per week. And these are what I call transformational clients. They're my project clients. And these clients make a different decision to the majority on board the ship. What they do, they come and see me every day, and we work together as a team. And by the time you walk off the ship at the end of the week, you will have everything you need to transform your body over the next 6 months, 12 months, and the rest of your life. However, because this is a body transformation program, I don't think I even used the word program, because we focus on body transformation, these sorts of clients that I'm working with, I'm gonna give you everything you need. And we had a concept that worked really well, which I still believe in today, all around alkalizing your body, because we live acidic lifestyles. And it started to work. And therefore I started to get clients that came in and just asking that question, are you here to have a bit of personal training? or do you want to transform your body? Why do you want? You've got to get to that why. Why do you want the personal training? Why do you want to have a massage? Why do you want to have some graphic design? Let's take this into other industries. Okay, we can look at a graphic designer, and most graphic designers, they believe that the value, and videographers, they believe the value is in the work, and it's not, because your work is replaceable. If you decide that you don't want to work anymore tomorrow, or something happens, I don't wish that on any of, I don't wish that on you, but you just can't work for a few weeks, you're replaceable. And the problem is, the more quickly your clients can replace you, the less valuable you are. And because most service-based industries, the problem is in the title, by the way, being a service provider, we believe the value is all in our time, in providing the service to the client. Because we put all the value into the service and the time, we're selling in the exact same way as the rest of our industry. And if you decide you don't want to be a graphic designer tomorrow, that's fine. There's millions of other graphic designers, or hundreds of thousands available. You're instantly replaceable. If you decide that, hey, you know what? I'm going to go on holiday, I'm going to come out to Thailand for a month or whatever it is, and I'm not going to do videography. I'm just going to enjoy my life. Okay, fine. You're replaceable, because if your value, like now, this is where, and I'm learning this because I'm back on YouTube, and what I'm learning is that, wow, see, I used to do all these polished videos with YouTube, and I used to believe that I had a full-time videographer in my business for like a year. I didn't need it, because actually people don't connect with that. They connect with the advice that's been, so the accounts are doing better, at least this is what I'm hearing, the accounts are doing better is more down to earth, more just getting to know people, right? Like walking with a camera. I'm not an expert on YouTube, by the way. But the point is that you're not paid for your work, you're paid for your mind. And the problem starts to occur big time when we put the value into the work, which is replaceable, and we don't believe in the advice and the unique advice that we give, the unique way that we help clients, and therefore we give all that bit away for free. Is this making sense? Let me know below if it's making sense, because this is really important. Your clients do not want another day or hour with you. What they want is true change and transformation. So that leads to the question, if money was no object, how would I help my clients transform? What would I do in their life to make it easier for them to create this change? So for the last 10 years, 14 years, how quickly time goes, I've been a consultant for companies. I've been lucky, because a lot of these companies are around the world, some of the biggest brands in the world have brought me in. I've traveled all over, and most of them will approach for some sales training. Hey Pete, can we have a sales training day? But what I learned is that if I sold sales training days, I became comparable to all the other sales trainers. Literally, any other sales trainer offering sales training, how do I differentiate? So what I learned is, number one, I need to be different. But number two, it's not just about being a gimmick. It's about asking, what's your integrity? So for me, it didn't make sense to me when I would go into a company and do a day's sales training. It makes no sense to me, because inevitably what would happen, you can imagine, they would all feel motivated after the day. Sales, and this is all proven through stats, sales can increase by about 40%, and then everything defaults within 30 days. And I believe 50% of what's delivered on a training day is instantly forgot. Instantly. The moment they leave the training room, 50% is gone, and 100% is gone within 30 days. So yeah, you can charge $3,000 a day, $5,000 a day. You can load yourself up with training days. And I did that at one point early on, and I was able to increase my price. And there were a lot of companies in London that, and I wasn't even a good sales trainer, right? There's way better sales trainers out there, but you don't need to be the best, right? But I was getting bookings, and I was going in, clients were happy, but then you leave and then that's it. So in one meeting where I was sat with a particular decision maker, let's just say that, a GM, general manager, and head of department of the department I was going to be working with, who was also doubling up with sales manager. So it was head of department, HOD, and the MD. And they said, Pete, we want some sales training. I'm like, cool, how did you get to the conclusion that you want some sales training? Like, how did you prescribe or diagnose that you need some sales training? Well, we're not making enough sales. We've not hit, the sales team hasn't hit a target in 6 months. I said, okay. And I'd already been talking to them for a little while, and I realized that a day's sales training or even a week's sales training was not going to do a lot. So I said to them, okay, so do you mind if I share what I feel is truly going on? Like what's really happening here? And they said, we'd love that, we'd appreciate that. I'm like, okay, cool. What I believe is going on is that it's not just about sales training. Sales training is 5%, maybe 10% of the solution that you need, but there's a lot of deeper core issues going on. Talk to me about your recruitment strategy for bringing in new salespeople, because you've got 5 people in the sales team right now. How did you bring them in? Well, we don't really have one. We just put something on a job board, we interview, and then we get somebody on board. So there's no recruitment, so I'm assuming there's no onboarding strategy or process. And then, what's their first 30 days in the business look like? Do they shadow? You see where this is going. And I said, how's the team led day to day? Okay, and is that working for you? So by asking these questions about what was really happening, what we established is that a day's sales training or even 2 weeks sales training was just going to be a waste of money. And I said, look, you can have sales training, or I can be honest with you. And by the way, I don't work to budgets. And what I'm about to share with you is not going to be what you budgeted for, because what did you budget? They said £3,000. Okay, fine, right? So £3,000. I'm going to be honest with you. That's nowhere near what is going to be needed if we go ahead with a solution. But I'd rather get a no from you today, but knowing I've been truthful with you and saying, look, this is actually what you truly need, than just saying yes and taking your £3,000, doing something that I don't believe in. I'm not saying that I wouldn't deliver a sales training day, but I knew that what they truly wanted was to transform their sales. And I brought it back to that. Do you want sales training, or do you want to transform your sales? And they said, well, Pete, we'd love to transform our sales. Okay, you see where this is going. So in order to do that, what we're looking at is a sales transformation consulting contract. And it starts with 3 months. I always start with 3 months. We do everything we need to do in the first 3 months, and then we sit down 2 months and 1 week in, 2 months, 2 weeks in, and we go, is this working on both sides? If the answer is yes, then we agree to do the rest of the year. So it becomes a 1-year contract. But we look at everything. We look at the whole ecosystem and the blueprint. And what I was able to develop was my unique methodology, so my way of helping, and this became proven in these industries. And now I work with lots of clients. My business is purely online. I've lived in Thailand for 2.5 years, so my clients are all online now, and most of them are in a group because they go through the methodology. Can you see how this works? So what transformation can you bring to your client? That's what we're talking about today, and there's so much more. We're not even scratching on the surface of this, but I can always guarantee you're here and you're still watching now because of the fact that you're thinking there is the version of you that's either fully booked back to back with doing the work that you don't really want to do, and it's still not really paying. And then there's a version of you saying, I know that I can create this change in my clients. I know that I can be their most trusted advisor. And that requires a different psychology entirely. And running a business where you're selling time and you're back to back with clients, hats off to you. That's amazing. That brought you to where you are today. But to go where you want to go, something's got to shift. And that means that you've got to ask that question, if money was no object, what would I truly do to help my clients transform? Number one. What is my unique way of helping them? Because we can't just be pie in the sky, right? Oh, I'm going to charge thousands of dollars and just because I'm going to manifest it and I'm worth it. No. People pay for the problem that you solve. So what is the problem that you solve? And then number 3 is your clients are a perfect reflection of you. So they're not just going to buy into the fact that you're offering transformations, and nobody wakes up in the morning and just says, oh yeah, I'm going to pay you loads of money, right? Who do you need to be? What identity shift do you need to have in order for this to occur? I have seen, being in business now for 14, 15 years, I've had ups and downs. If you read my book, my first chapter is how I lost over $1 million because I was an idiot. And the reason for it is because I was running off survival, and all my decisions were of a low value psychology. I didn't feel worthy of the money. I'll be honest, I didn't feel worthy of the money, so I lost a lot of money. And it's taken a lot of work, a lot of healing over the years, and a lot of focus, and just getting the bullshit out, right? A lot of it is, become the person that you need to be. You don't need to become anybody new. What we need to do is unbecome all the bullshit we've become over the years. So I've done a lot of unbecoming. I don't know if you're going to even see this This is crazy. I'm walking across this bridge. I don't know how to use this camera because it follows me around, the camera. Can you see down there? No, you can't. Okay, anyways. I think that's enough for today. Over to you. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. If you want more help on this, you can see the links below. You've got my book there. You've also got my community. And yeah, it's time to make it happen, right? Like, what is stopping you from offering transformations, changing your clients' lives? And I've got other videos here I'm posting. I'm not going to promise it, but I do post every day right now. So you want the next step of this, it's all here. Come in here, but don't just consume, get active, yeah? We're not here just to go, oh, that was good. Do something with it, share back what you've got, join the community, get involved. Have a good one, see you later.